Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to News Dose, and we got a few big stories to talk about today. Now, one is really more about something that I've been wanting to talk about because I have seen some accusations thrown around online that Phil Spencer is, some kind of liar, and that Xbox is basically a sham that should never be trusted. And I feel like those accusations are a bit exaggerative of the actual reality, and I'm going to explain why today. But then also there is another leak for apparently another Nintendo Direct beyond just the partner showcase. So we will get into both of those situations today, but first, I do want to thank my supporters on Patreon and on YouTube memberships. Thank you just so much for what you do, and you will receive this video through early access. Let's go and get right into things, though, and we might as well just go and start off with the latest information for next month's Nintendo, apparently, showcases as in plural, because right now there is a major rumor floating around that we won't get just one showcase, but we're actually going to get two. Now, honestly, based on Nintendo's history, that's not unheard of them for to do. They have done that from time to time, and typically when they do, there's different themes. Sometimes they'll have an Indie World showcase as one such example that's then followed up by a big general direct like a week or two later. This time, though, as we learned about earlier in the week from Nate the Hate, there seemingly is a partner showcase planned for early February. Right now, rumor has it that it will debut on February 5th, which is, of course, this Thursday. Now, some fans are disappointed about the idea of a partner showcase, but I feel like Nintendo fans need to shift their mindset this generation just a bit. If you think about it, it's been nearly 30 years since Nintendo has had a console that's actually capable enough to put out truly AAA games that, aren't completely nerfed compared to the competition. So there's a lot of big and exciting games that could come from a partner showcase for the Switch 2. And I truly believe that a lot of fans are going to walk away pleasantly surprised from what they have to show. Not only because of potential AAA ports like Expedition 33, Kingdom Hearts, ReFantazio, the Yakuza games, and Resident Evil ports, but also for exclusives like the Duskbloods and whatever Bloober Team is working on for Nintendo. However, I do understand the sentiment for first-party Nintendo showcases and the want for those to be revealed. I love Nintendo IP as well, and it's the main reason you buy Nintendo hardware. So I get it. We all want to know what they have planned for 2026, and, well, here's the thing, because that's where this next leak comes in. So this first started off with Attack the Backlog because he posted this on Twitter X. He simply asked, do business partners really travel alone? And as you can see in the image, Cloud from Final Fantasy is walking off in the distance with the partner showcase logo above his head. Now, obviously, there is an expectation that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth will launch for the Switch 2 later this year, which is what game this image is seemingly teasing. But if you've been paying attention, Attack the Backlog seems to be connected to Nash Weedle. See, the thing is that they actually corroborated a leak, I want to say a few weeks back. I believe it was for Kingdom Hearts for the Switch 2, if I remember right. Correct me if I'm wrong about that, but the same thing happened here. Nash Weedle quickly responded with his own image that shows Mario walking hand in hand with Cloud, and above Mario's head, you see the general Nintendo Direct logo above his head. So it seems that they're teasing a Nintendo Direct for February and that Mario will be a part of it. Now, of course, there's been a lot of speculation that this year's big game will be the next 3D Mario, which I think makes a lot of sense just because it's been 9 long years since the launch of Mario Odyssey. It has to happen sooner rather than later. It's crazy it's been that long, but yeah. People have been going crazy over this alleged leak. But that's where I want to go ahead and spread just a little bit of caution. So here's my thing. I understand that Nash Weedle is viewed as, some kind of Nintendo leaker, but from everything that I've ever seen from him, he has a spotty track record, if anything else. So my impression from him is that he likes to throw things at the wall that make sense in the hopes that something will stick. And I know that sounds mean, but I've been saying this for a few months now. I knew for a fact that we were eventually going to get these Nintendo Direct rumors in February because history tells us that Nintendo will hold a direct for that month. That is not some massive unexpected news. I mean, I myself, with no sources whatsoever, could claim to leak a Nintendo Direct for February, guess one of its 4 weeks with a potential Mario reveal, and possibly be correct. I mean, I could have just posted that on Twitter and claimed to be an insider, but doesn't really make it true. I would have been a fraud. So all I'm trying to say is that Nash Weedle has a spotty track record. You can take that as you will, but I think that you should treat his rumors with just a dash of caution. Now, if it happens, then hey, that's absolutely fantastic. Again, I want a Nintendo Direct for next month. I believe there's a good chance of it happening. But for me, I don't put a lot of credibility behind his leaks specifically because, in my opinion, he hasn't earned it. And until he does, I'm always going to take his leaks with a massive grain of salt. However, let me know what you all think about this. Do you think that I'm being too harsh on Nash Weedle, or do you think that people should proceed with just a little bit of caution? All right, now the other thing that I want to talk about, though, and this is something that I've wanted to talk about for a while on the channel, and that's the idea that Phil Spencer is some kind of liar and that he just vanished into thin air because nobody trusts him anymore. I mean, I see videos pop up from time to time about how Xbox lied and that Phil Spencer is awful and this, that, and the other. But I just feel like that is an exaggeration of what's really been going on. So first off, let's just go ahead and admit that Phil Spencer does not do nearly as many interviews as he used to. That's fairly obvious. But I think there's 2 reasons for that. Now, the first of which is that I think they are trying to pass the torch to Sarah Bond. Phil Spencer will retire eventually, and having another public figure that fans actually like is a good thing for the future of the Xbox brand. So I think they're kind of grooming her to be that type of person. Now, personally, I feel sorry for her because she has inherited a product that is tough to communicate to Xbox fans. And that brings me to the main point of this video. The big thing that I've noticed these past 2 years is that Xbox as a whole has kind of backed off from their previous public relations. You know, under most of Phil Spencer's tenure, he's been pretty adamant about communicating with Xbox fans. So why have they suddenly stopped that initiative? And I think it's because Team Xbox is no longer in control. See, the truth is that I don't think that Phil Spencer ever meant to lie to his customers. I mean, you can go back to the Bethesda acquisition where he immediately told fans that they acquired Bethesda with the idea of exclusivity. Now, he mentioned that they can't do that with every single game because of contractual obligations, but Bethesda, in his words, was purchased with Xbox exclusivity in mind, and we saw that firsthand with the launch of Starfield. And when you go back to 2024, they also mentioned that those 4 Xbox PlayStation ports weren't a sign that more Xbox games were going to be ported to PlayStation in the future. Now, obviously, that proved false as well. And it's those 2 things that everybody likes to point to when they say that Phil Spencer and Team Xbox are liars. Again, though, I think that's ignoring the elephant in the room here. And the elephant that I'm talking about is Microsoft's upper management, because I think it's fairly clear that they have stepped over top of the Xbox team to get a return on investment for the Activision Blizzard acquisition. I mean, if you know anything about the history of Xbox, there's always been one constant for them: the Xbox team versus Microsoft. Because more often than not, they are not on the same page. They have completely different mindsets from one another. See, the thing is that Xbox is an entertainment brand, but Microsoft is not known for entertainment. They're all about corporate business, and they just don't think about how something like Xbox can benefit the excitement for their brand from customers that typically wouldn't be excited about Microsoft in the first place. So instead of Microsoft just backing Xbox like they probably should do, instead, Xbox has to constantly prove to them why they should back them. You know, whereas if you look at somebody like Sony and Nintendo, they both have a lot more expertise in entertainment. And I think it's one of the big reasons why they have more focused campaigns than Xbox does, because they have companies that backs their views, whereas Team Xbox has never had that same amount of control and same amount of backing despite their parent company having more money. I mean, at the end of the day, more money does not mean more budget. And Xbox has never had an infinite budget, and I think that's one of the sad realities of the Xbox business. Not that they need an infinite budget, but Microsoft has always had a golden opportunity if they would have given Xbox their full backing. But more often than not, they haven't. And when they finally did, with the acquisition of Activision and Bethesda, instead of giving them the control to truly compete, they instead stripped the Xbox team, the most knowledgeable people within their company for gaming, of utilizing those acquisitions the way that they needed to be. Instead, Microsoft shoehorned their own views onto Xbox, and I think that's what's been happening, and I think that's why Team Xbox doesn't do a lot of interviews anymore. It's not because they're not passionate about the brand, but rather it's because they're no longer in control. It's no longer Xbox gaming, it is Microsoft gaming. Team Xbox now has to toe the business line. And let me just say this. I heard this from Mr. Matty Plays the other day. Awesome YouTuber, go check him out. But what he said, I think, really resonates with the situation, because if you look at Xbox, pretty much since the launch of the Xbox One, there's always been this narrative of where's the games. That's been going on for years and years and years. But now they actually have the games. Because if you look at their pipeline compared to something like PlayStation, I mean, it is crazy how much more Xbox has for the next couple of years than PlayStation does. So they have the ammunition to actually compete. But instead of competing, now the main question has kind of become, well, where's the platform? And that's where this video comes in, because I don't think that fans should blame Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, or even Matt Booty for that. In my opinion, Phil Spencer has become the fall man, because I think the blame should fully rest on Microsoft for not giving Xbox the power to truly compete with those acquisitions. So that's all I want to say. But let me know if you disagree. I know some people like the idea of their multi-platform future, and that's fine if you do. But that's why I want to hear y'all's opinions in the comments below. Anyways, though, that's going to be it for this episode. But until next time, make sure to subscribe, ring that bell, and peace out.